with the cold weather that set in, our family was starting to try to retain our optimism by thinking about spring. And that conversation always turns to baseball at our house. And I'm a bit of an optomath when it comes to baseball because as a kid, I didn't play at all. So I had to learn the hard way as a mom. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit this morning about coaching youth baseball. At our house, both boys started baseball at the ripe age of 5, which is when a T-ball starts. And as a coach, it's an amazing job. It's kind of like herding squirrels because you have all these little people that are super excited to be there, have no idea why. Their glove is about the size of their head. And they have all these cute little t-shirts that even when you order extra small youth, they hang to their knees. But they wear them at every practice because they're so proud to be there. But to give you a little idea of what it's like to coach these little ones, I walked over to practice when my sister was visiting one night. And she turns and looks at me and she says, "Wow, your kids are great." And I said, "Our team is great? I mean, they're standing there chasing butterflies." And she says, "Yeah, there's not a single one of them making a sandcastle. We always have to encourage them off the ground from making sandcastles." The next phase, though, when you reach the age of 7, in our league, you move up to a pitching machine. And as a coach, you graduate from herding squirrels to herding cats. Because now they are like super excited to rush out of the dugout and hit the field. Not because they really want to be in the field, but because if they play the field, they eventually get their chance at batting, which is the only reason you play baseball to start is to bat. And at this point, they can actually start to figure it out. They have a machine, it brings it in at this pretty much the same pace. They know that it's going to be in pretty much the same position every time. And by the end of the season, these little people are just knocking these rubber balls into the field and are feeling great. Their confidence is awesome. And they're starting to have some fun. They get to do this for 2 years until they graduate till the next level. And that's when incredibly ancient little people of the age of 9 start to hurl balls at their friends. Now, unless you can be an incredibly self-confident person at the age of 9, as you stand in that batter's box, you're terrified because you've seen about every person on the team take one to the leg, the hip, the head, and which is why helmets are so incredibly important at this age. One night, or actually 1 year when my youngest moved into this age group, we're discussing who was going to coach the 10U team, which is when you move to live pitching. And there was a young man that was in college, had played high school baseball from our community, and was super excited to volunteer as a coach. And at the parents' meeting, we asked what team he'd like to coach, because if you're going to coach as a college student, we are going to give you any team you want. And he says, "I want 10U. You could have heard a pin drop in the room. We're all thinking, are you crazy? This is the hardest age to coach. These kids are like moving into pitching. They're terrified. But nope, Luke wanted 10U. We're like, great. So after a couple of weeks of practice, one night when practice would be almost over, I walked over to the field. And as I walk up behind the fence, I see that there's this little man standing in the batter's box. You can tell he is terrified. I mean, if you've actually seen a picture of someone's knees knocking together, this is this little guy. And he's standing there as the ball comes across the plate and he is not picking that bat up. There is no way he's going to even attempt. And Luke walks over to him from the outfield and he leans over and he talks to him and then he helps him straighten out his stance and he looks at him and he says, "How about this time when the ball comes across, you just swing the bat. You don't have to hit the ball, just swing the bat." And this little guy looks up with hero worship in his eyes at this big guy that played baseball in high school. And he timidly nods his head. And when that ball comes across the plate the next time, that little guy swings with everything he has. And Luke goes, "Great job. Now next time, let's do it with our eyes open." Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.